Hello. Welcome to Broker Builder Solutions HR Training Module 2, Reporting on Employee Navigator. Our goal with this recording is to provide a high-level overview of the most commonly used reports on the Employee Navigator platform based upon our experience with our clients. While there are a great deal of standard system reports, this video will cover the following: ad hoc reports to include column-based reports, cafeteria reports, and payroll deduction reports, benefit reports to include the carrier billing summary, the carrier billing employees by plan, benefit and total compensation statements, along with the COBRA summary report, change history reports to include enrollment changes and payroll deduction changes, and then finally the open enrollment report, which is inclusive of the open enrollment changes. Upon logging into Employee Navigator, to access the report, you're going to click on the link to the report. Over in the upper left-hand corner, you are going to see the ad hoc report. And while there are various ad hoc reports, the first report that we're going to point out is the column-based report. The column-based report is designed to provide you with full information. So if you're looking just to pull out changes only, the recommendation is not to use the column-based report, as column-based reporting will provide you with all information based upon the fields you select. The employee fields are inclusive of any employee fields that you are currently tracking in the system. For example, I will go ahead and include in the employee social, the last name, the first name. I will go down and include an annual salary, a hire date, the client classification. When you select client classification, division, department, or business unit, you will notice that all of these fields have a filter next to them. These are column filters that will allow, if you have multiple classifications set up and you only want to report out on a specific classification, in the column filter section, if you click on show, it will provide you with a list of those classifications that you're able to drill down and report out on just one or two of those classifications if need be. I'm going to go ahead and just pick my full-time classification. The next thing that you have available to you in the column-based reporting is the enrollments. You have the ability to select any of the plans that you currently have built out on the system. So if you want a report that encompasses who's enrolled in the medical plan, what their coverage tier is, their start date, and their cost per pay period, you're selecting those fields. Once you've selected all of the employee and enrollment fields that you require, over on the right you have some additional options. The first option is to include dependents. Including dependents will provide the dependents in the row immediately beneath the employee record on your export of the report. You then have some exclusions. You can choose to exclude declined enrollments, ended enrollments, and anyone that is not enrolled. If you do not select the exclusions, the system is going to report out on all records because you've selected some fields in the employee section that will encompass returning all records. I'm going to go ahead and leave these exclusions unset so that I can show you some visibility into all records versus when you exclude what the values are that are returned. The type of enrollment that you have available are current and open. Now, currently, my demo company is not in open enrollment. As a result, I would not expect for the report to return any values. However, in the event that I was in open enrollment, selecting the open would pull in any employees that enrolled in the medical plan throughout the open enrollment. The current is going to show me anybody that is currently enrolled in the plan year that is current. Next, you have your limit enrollment based on dates. You're able to put a date range within these fields. you want to keep in mind that putting a date range in these fields is going to pull the enrollments that were put in the system between those dates. So you want to keep in mind, if you're looking for employees that are effective from January 1 to say January 31, if those enrollments were input in December and you put January 1 to January 31 in those fields, the report will not return that enrollment because it was entered in the system in December. As a result, the recommendation, if you are looking to pull all information, would be to leave these fields blank. Once you've selected all of the fields that you wish to report out on, over on the left-hand panel, you're going to click View. In clicking View, the system will return all of the values that you requested to report out on. So what you'll notice is that you get a total population. There are some individuals with the column of the medical plan blank, and the reason being is because we did not set any exclusions in the report. If I now want to go back and set exclusions, I'm going to go back up to Fields, and then over on the right, I'm going to go ahead and select to exclude declined enrollment and anyone who is not enrolled. I do still want to capture anyone who has ended enrollment. And because I want to capture anyone who has ended enrollment, I'm going to go back and update my employee field to be inclusive of a termination date. Now that I've selected the additional fields that I would like to use, I'm going to go ahead and hit View, and what you'll notice is now 103 records are returned as opposed to the 169 that were returned previously. And if I scroll over to the right and look at my medical plan, you will notice that everyone here is enrolled in the medical plan. All the reports in Employee Navigator are downloadable into an Excel format, and to download those reports, you're merely going to click on the download button. Once you've downloaded the report, the system will convert the report into an Excel format. Once you have it in Excel format, you are able to manipulate the report however you'd like. As you can see, columns K and L appear to be blank, and that is because I do not have a department or business unit assigned to any of my employees. You will also notice that the client class is blank on some records. Those records are going to be dependent records. The client class is a field along with the hire date and termination date that are employee specific. As a result, I would expect to see those fields, including the base salary, on the employee record only. If I continue to scroll over, column M is inclusive of the medical plan. Column N is inclusive of the medical plan coverage level, the start date in column O, and then my employee cost per pay, or my employer cost per pay. I'm going to go ahead and get out of my Excel report and go back into Employee Navigator. The column-based report, if it's a report that you know you're going to need on a monthly basis, you do have the ability to save the column-based report. Once clicking on Save, the system is going to ask you for a name. You are going to be required to put in a description, and then you save. Once your save is completed, you are able to proceed back to your Reports menu, and in doing so, the report that you save will now reflect in your My Report section. So the report that I saved was called Sample Report for Demo. That next month, if I need to go in and run this report, I don't need to figure out the fields that it's going to return, or I don't need to go back in and populate the fields. If I click on the report, the fields are already populated for me. If I need to add additional fields or remove fields, I am able to do so. Along with the ability to save reports, you do have the ability to manage reports. And managing reports, that allows you to share your report across other HR users. To share a report with another HR user, you're merely going to click on Manage My Reports. This system will give you a list of all the reports that you have available. If you click on Share HR, it's going to give you a list of HR users that are registered in the system that you're able to share the report with. Once you've completed sharing the report, the individual that you are sharing the report with will reflect the report in their shared report. It will not reflect on your shared reports because you are the one sharing the report. If someone else is sharing a report with you, I would expect that report to reflect in the shared report section. The next report that we're going to cover in the ad hoc report section is going to be the cafeteria report. The cafeteria report is designed to report out on cafeteria plans, such as flexible spending accounts, limited purpose FSAs, dependent care spending accounts, etc. Again, just like with the ad hoc reports, this is merely an ad hoc report that is designed and focused to pull in cafeteria enrollment information. So again, you're able to select the employee fields that you'd like to return. So I'll go ahead and put in social, last name, first name. And in this case, I'll go ahead and include in the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. I'm going to jump over to the enrollment. So in the enrollment, I have the ability to, again, include the enrollment type, the plan, and there is a plan filter, if you will, that allows me to choose amongst the plans that are available. And in this case, with this demo company, there's just the flexible spending account, the benefit, and again, with the benefit, I am able to filter. With this particular company, it is just the medical flexible spending account that is available. The start date, the employee per pay cost, I'm going to select. If I continue to scroll down, I'm also going to select the annual election. Over on the right, I'm going to go ahead and select my exclusions, and I'm going to exclude anything that's declined, anyone that's not enrolled. I'm going to keep ended enrollments here, and because of that, I will include an end date. Now that I've selected all of the fields that I'd like, I'm going to go ahead and hit View. And just like with the regular ad hoc report, the system is going to return all of the values that I selected. Again, with any other reports, you can download the report into an Excel format that can be manipulated once in Excel. Just like with the other ad hoc reports, you are able to save this report. Any of the ad hoc reports can be saved and shared. I am going to go back to the reports menu, and then finally, the last report that I am going to cover under the ad hoc reports is the payroll deductions report. Again, I'm going to click on the link to the payroll deductions report. Just like with the other reports, I'm going to include the fields that I need. So I'm going to include social security number, last name, first name. In this case, I'm going to include the payroll ID. I will include the payroll group. And I believe that's all the fields that I'm going to include in this report. But I'm going to scroll down so that you can see that all of the fields are available, should you choose. I'm going to now go over to enrollment. In the enrollment section, I have the ability to choose my benefit. Benefit is a filter, so it's going to give me all of the benefits that are currently available if I wanted to single out a particular benefit. I can include in the employee costs. I can include in the employer cost. If there are payroll codes built in at the payroll calendar level, you're able to include those payroll codes, which will then report out. If it reports out as blank, then that would be a sign that that payroll codes are not loaded. Again, I can include the coverage level, the coverage start date, and then over on the right, you have an effective date. The system will automatically put in the date that you are running the report. However, if you are looking to find deductions as of a specific date, you can plug in that date, and in this case, I'm just going to put 01/01/2017, and the system will return to you all deductions as of that date. In the cost section, you have sum dependent cost. And so the sum dependent cost is a feature that will sum all of the dependent costs for you. And I will go ahead and click on that. Now that I've selected all of the fields, I'm going to go ahead and hit view, and the system is going to return all of the payroll deductions that meet the criteria that I've set. Just like with the other reports, you are able to download this report, put into Excel. You are also able to save this report as well. One item that I had not covered when going through the other ad hoc reports is the ability to utilize the search functionality. Say before you export this report and do anything with it, you want to validate a deduction for an individual in this report, and you don't want to export it into Excel and search. You are able to type in the employee last name, and the system will then isolate down to all of the records that meet that last name criteria. And then when I take that out, it gives me back all of the employee records. Again, as stated previously, when using the ad hoc reports, these reports are designed to populate full-on information. So if you are looking for changes only, those are items that we will cover when we get down to the change history report section. I'm now going to go back to the reports menu, and the next topic of reports we'll cover are those within the benefit report section. The first report that we'll cover in the benefit report section is going to be the summary. The carrier billing summary is designed to assist you with reconciling your bills, or when you are doing self-bill for ancillary lines such as life insurance, voluntary life, short-term, long-term disability, etc. To run the carrier billing summary, from the carrier dropdown, you are going to select the carrier. You are going to input the date that you would like to run the report as of. If you want to include classes, departments, business units, divisions, or offices, you are able to go ahead and include those fields. And typically those are used if you are doing any cost center or subgroup or department reporting, if you will. You're going to hit generate. The system will run a query, and it appears that I have no one enrolled in my AIG plan. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down to my Guardian plan and hit generate. Now what the system is going to return for me is the plan name for all of the Guardian plans. It's going to return the grouping. So for my critical illness plan, I have my grouping is by coverage tier. My group life, my STD, and LTD, there are no specific groupings that differentiate my cost. And then I have my voluntary life, which is grouped by age band. Because I included the class, it's going to give me a listing of the classes, and it's going to give any classes for those that are enrolled. The system will provide my rate, the number of lives, any applicable benefit volumes. It's totaling the benefit volume. So as you can see with my critical illness plan, it's 0, and those are not plans built based on a benefit volume, where the group life, the STD, the LTD, and the voluntary life are, and then it will calculate my premium. Just like with the ad hoc reports, you are able to put this into Excel, or you can print directly from here. And that is pretty much the carrier billing summary in a nutshell. If you leave this set to all and hit generate, it is going to run you the billing for all of the plans and all of the carriers that you currently have on the system. I'm going to go back to the reports menu, The next report that I'm going to run in the carrier billing is the employees by plan. Very similar to the summary report with regards to selecting your carrier, inputting your date. Again, you can select to include class, department, business unit, division, or office for purposes of cost center accounting. You go ahead and hit generate. And the difference in this report is that it's going to give you the employees by plan. So in some instances where carriers are looking at the summary by coverage tier, by age band, there are also going to be instances where you may want to look at the detail. And this is going to give you the detail for each individual. It's going to show their total cost, their coverage tier, the number of lives for each one I would expect to be 1, the benefit amount, the number of lives, the STD, all of the plans for that particular carrier. And then you have your total cost. So it's giving you a sum total of all of those costs for that particular carrier for that employee. As you can see, Warren Buffett does not have the critical illness, so you don't see any values there. You're going to see his life cost, his life benefit. He does not have the STD, the LTD. Etc. I'm going to go back out to the reports menu. And next I'm going to touch a bit on the benefit confirmation and the total compensation statement. These two are very different. Similar but different. The benefit confirmation is just that, in that it is designed to reflect all of the benefits that the employee is enrolled, and it does give a signature line. In the event that you still want that hard copy signature from the employee, you're able to obtain that. You can run this for the current enrollment, or if you are in open enrollment and want to run it during open enrollment, you're able to. Again, just like with the other reports, you can select it, if you just want to run for a classification of employees. And so it's going to run the report for that total classification of employees that you can print and then break it down. If you want the report to display the class, you can click Display Class. If you want it to mask the social, you're able to mask the social. If you want it to suppress the signature line, you're able to suppress that. If you want to show declined benefits, you're able to do that as well. If I generate this report, this is going to run for my total population. If I only want to run this report for a specific employee, I now have to think of an active employee. I'll type in that employee name and hit generate. The system will then return a PDF of the total compensation statement for Aaron Test. And make this a little bit bigger so you can see the total compensation statement for Aaron Test. It shows the company name. If there's a company logo, I would expect it to show the company logo. It's going to show the employee's address, date of birth, masking the social as requested. It's going to show the employee's class as requested. Aaron is only enrolled in the group life, the voluntary AD&D, and the dependent voluntary AD&D. And then I did not select to suppress the signature line, so it's there. It's going to show what dependents are covered. It's going to show when my new hire enrollment was completed. And then it's going to show my total cost per pay. Again, this report can be run all at once for the total population or by employee. I'm going to go back to the reports menu. The next report that I'm going to run is the total compensation statement. Again, just like with the benefit confirmation statement, you are able to run this for all employees or for just a single employee. I am going to again use Aaron Test. I'll use Friday Test, and hopefully Friday Test is an active employee and not a terminated employee. And so apparently Friday Test is not active. so I get nothing returned. So I will just go ahead and use Aaron again, just because I know that Aaron is enrolled in some level of benefit. And so again, I'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for you. The total compensation statement, similar information, says total comp. On the right-hand side, you'll see the company name. I have my employee's address information. I have my employee's total salary. In this case, Aaron is making nothing. My total cash compensation is going to show all of my benefits, the employee's annualized contribution, the employer's annualized contribution, and then total compensation. If I scroll down, page 2 is a compensation breakdown and gives me a visual here. And so I do encourage you to jump in and to play with this on your employees so that it returns live data values, that you can get some real live visibility into the field it returns. Again, this is a demo company. I'm going to go back to the reports menu, and then finally, the last report that we're going to review in the benefits report section is the COBRA summary. The COBRA summary, I would expect to return values only if you are utilizing the Manage COBRA tool in Employee Navigator to report out on those individuals that are actively enrolled in COBRA. The COBRA summary report is just that. It's going to give you a summary of any employees that are enrolled in COBRA, to include their social, their first and last name, the carrier in which they're enrolled in the COBRA plan with, the plan name, the coverage tier, the premium, and then the effective date, the effective through date, if there's any extending of the coverage through, when the coverage was ended, and the date it was created. Again, just like with all reports, you are able to print or put this report into Excel. So I'm going to go back to the reports menu, and we're almost there. We are going to cover change history reports and open enrollment reports. If I scroll down to the change history report section, the very first report that we're going to cover is the enrollment changes. Clicking on enrollment changes link, I am prompted to enter date range. You are going to enter the date range for which you want the change to return. So if you're looking for any changes, within a specific pay period, if you will, you're going to put in that range. You can run this by carrier. If you do not select the carrier, the plan, or the event type, it's going to return all changes for all carriers, all plans, and all event types. I'm going to run it both ways. I'm going to go ahead and select Guardian as my carrier. I'm going to leave my plan and my event types unselected. I will, however, click on the drop down so that you can see the list of different event types that are available. And then the plan types obviously tie back into the plans that you have set up on the platform. Once I click on Generate, the system will run its query and it will return a list of changes specific to that carrier. So again, you're going to get the social, the first name and the last name, because those are important fields to have. We know that we selected Guardian, but it will also include the carrier. We have multiple plans with Guardian, so it will include the plan type. It's going to include the enrollment type, the enrollment start date, if there is an enrollment end date. It's going to show you the event. So if there was a change based upon, to the rate because of an age band change, it's going to reflect that. It's going to show you the field that's changing. It's going to show you the date it was changed on, what it was before, and what it is now. If someone actually went into the system and modified that change, it will show you who it was modified by. If it's a change that occurred as a result of a nightly job, such as a recalc or an age band change, you will not see a modified by, and that's because it's the system. We've set plan rules for specific plans, and so when that nightly job runs within the system, it's automatically making that change. So when you see the modified by as a blank, I would go out on a limb and say that was something based upon the plan rules. Now, if I wanted to make this specific to just one plan, I'm going to say critical illness, and I'm going to regenerate it. So there are no changes for my critical illness plan. If I don't select a carrier, I don't select the plan, and say I just select an event type, and I'm going to say add coverage and hit generate. Again, I don't have anyone that's added coverage. So I'm going to leave all of these as select and then go ahead and hit generate, and you'll notice that it's going to run all of the changes that have happened. Again, just like with all reports, you're able to print or you're able to put into Excel. I'm going to go back to the reports menu. The enrollment changes encompasses just that, enrollment changes. If you are looking to report out on payroll deduction changes, you do have two reports that are available, a payroll deduction changes, and then you have a payroll deduction changes beta report. I'm going to go over the payroll deduction changes. I recommend that you play with the payroll deduction changes report at your leisure. The report is an enhancement from the payroll deduction changes report, but because it is still in the beta phase, I recommend utilizing the payroll deductions report until you see that this report is either an alpha or that there's just one report and there is no beta next to it. If I click on payroll deduction changes, again, it's going to ask, it's looking for a date range. So you want to look at any payroll deduction changes that occurred between 1/1 and I'm going to say 1/31. You're going to hit generate, and it is going to give you a list by employee, by plan of any payroll deductions that occurred. So again, you have your social and first name and last name, as those are key identifiers. It's going to identify the name of the plan that there was a deduction change for, the event type, did it stop altogether, was it a start, or was it a change? It's going to provide the as of date, the date the change is being made, the employee deduction amount, the employer deduction amount, if there is any applicable dependent deduction amount. If you are tracking payroll IDs and payroll codes, I would expect those to return as well. The changed on, the prior effective date, the prior termination date, and the prior deduction amount for the employee, the employer, and the dependent. So you have your prior here, and you have your new here. Again, just like with all of the reports, you are able to print or to put this into Excel. I'm going to go back to the reports menu, and finally, we are going to look at the open enrollment changes report. And I'm going to go scroll down to the open enrollment report section, and I will go ahead and click on open enrollment changes. This is going to allow you to look at a specific open enrollment effective date. So in this case, I am going to look at my 1/1/2017 open enrollment effective date. Once I pull that up, again, it's going to allow me to differentiate based on the carrier or the type of change. In this case, I want everything. I want to know anything that changed in open enrollment. And so once I've selected my all, the system runs a query, and it's going to give me a list of all changes that occurred during open enrollment. You've got your key employee identifiers, the name and the social, the carrier, the fields, the change type, the prior value, and the new value. You're going to see a record for each type of change. So, for example, Warren Buffett, his cost changed, his plan cost changed. So his employee-specific cost changed, the cost for the plan overall changed, and then the actual plan changed. So you're going to see a line item for each change that occurred on Warren Buffett's record. Again, just like with all of the other reports, you can print, Excel, and in this case, you can even put the report in a PDF. I'm going to go back out to the Reports tab. That is going to bring HR Training Module 2 reporting to a close. Again, as stated at the beginning of the video, we ran through the most frequently used reports based on our interaction with our clients. We certainly hope that this video has been helpful, and we encourage you to begin to navigate in the reports and run through any of the uncovered stones that we did not review. If you have any questions while you are uncovering stones, please feel free to reach out to your dedicated point of contact at your broker agency. Again, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.